All right, how you doing? So I'm Kevin McCain, and we're gonna give you an art tip of the week, if you will. And so this is a painting tip. You'll hear several sayings in art, and a lot of them have good foundations. One of them we're going to talk about today is this saying that it's easier to darken a color than to lighten a color. It's much harder to pull a color up the value scale, and it has to do with white or other opaque colors and how much that it takes to lighten it by one step of value is a lot, depending on that color's tinting strength. And because of that, they'll say, well, it's easier to darken a color than it is to lighten it. The way to get around that is you're going to use a process called overmixing versus undermixing. Now, if I've got a color and it's within one step of value, so if it's only one step of value away and I need to modify it, well, if it's right on, you don't have to modify it much at all. Maybe you have to change the hue or the chroma or something like that. But if you have to change the value by more than one step, you're not going to do it. In that case, wipe it off and try to get a closer value. But if it is within if you have to go only one step lighter, you can do that if you make your mixture 4 steps lighter than what it needs to be, so that by the time it blends and mixes, you might be able to get to that full value step. It takes a lot lighter, and so that's called overmixing. So I might be mixing a color that's that I'm trying to lighten from a step 4 on the value scale to a step 5, and I'm using a step 10 or 9 to then lighten it because it needs to be 4 steps away. And so I could mix it up really, really light and then use that to lighten that. Now that's going to change the color in other ways, but we're not going to worry about that. Sometimes you'll lighten it, but then the chroma is wrong or the hue is wrong. Well, then you remix the color that's the correct value, but you change the chroma or the hue, and then you put that down. To undermix, let's say something is, again, a step 5, and I need to pull down to a step 4. Well, I'm going to have to make it much darker by either 2 or 3 steps of value, sometimes even 4, to try to pull that value step down 1 full step. And if I don't have that latitude, in other words, if I'm trying to get it to a step 3, you don't have 4 steps darker than that. And so again, you might have to wipe the color and put a more correct color down. So that's undermixing and overmixing, and that's the workaround for that saying, well, it's easier to it's easier to darken a color than it is to lighten it. To make it lighter is the harder of the two. But the way that you deal with that, whether it's darkening it or lightening it, is you use overmixing or undermixing. Overmixing meaning I'm making it much lighter than it needs to be, so it pulls that color up, makes it lighter. And undermixing is where you're making it much darker, so it again pulls that value down. So anyways, if you use this in your painting, it can really, really, really help. And you'll have much more control over your paintings, and you'll have more contrast, you'll have more subtlety, and you'll have a much more satisfying experience, instead of feeling like that you're actually guiding the painting instead of the painting guiding you. So anyways, give that a shot. I wish you all the best, and try to keep drawing, keep painting, stay motivated, and try to incorporate a little more creativity in your life. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.